What's up, everybody? Oh, well, you're gonna raid me, I guess. What's up with my camera? Looks all fuzzy. This is the third rail. I am back, and we are gonna be watching the State of the Disunion, as the title says. So let's get started. If anyone wants to jump into the stream, anyone's more than welcome. Just hit me up, and I'll DM you a link.
Second Lady of the United States. Members of Congress and my fellow Americans, our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before. Less than 5 months from now, our country will celebrate an epic milestone in American history, the 250th anniversary of our glorious American independence. This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America. When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide-open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages. And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today, our border is secure. Thank you. Today, our border is secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before. And our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked. And America is respected again, perhaps like never before. After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States.
He can't possibly know that. I'll give him the southern border's a lot better, but he's definitely fucking up on all the other stuff. I have a pin post on my X. You can see where I talk about it. He's basically bringing in 600,000 Chinese college students, and he's also bringing in God knows how many Indian people to take our jobs. And he's redone the what's it called, the visa system or whatever. So where now, thank you, Sean. Good to see you. I am live. Awesome. But yeah, he's redoing the visa system, so he's going to charge $100,000 per new Indian H-1B visa, not the old ones, because why would he do that? But he's also bringing on I'm ready, Sean. I am ready. I am ready. He's bringing on the new Chinese Indian people are going to be residents. So they're going to be full on permanent residents and not just visa holders, which gives them a path to citizenship. So what's he really doing? He's not even eliminated a million of the current illegal aliens, and he's definitely going to bring in more than 1 million new legal migrants. I'm not for any migration, so whatever.
But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country. The flow of deadly fentanyl across our border is down by a record 56% in 1 year.
Makes you wonder if he knows the amount of fentanyl that is coming in, that he can say we've reduced it by X amount. Then how do they know that? Why aren't they stopping more of it? It doesn't make any sense. That's just a stupid line they all use because they are. Thanks for the raid, Gina. They are not stopping all of it because they only know about the stuff that they know about. So that's just a stupid talking point.
And last year, the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline, think of it, in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years, year 1900. In fact, substantially before my wonderful father, I had a wonderful father, Fred, before he was born, substantially before he was born. That's a long time ago. He wouldn't like me to say that, but that's a long time ago. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years. And in the last 3 months of 2025, it was down to 1.7%. Gasoline, which reached a peak of over $6 a gallon in some states under my predecessor, it was quite honestly a disaster, is now below $2.30 a gallon in most states, and in some places, $1.99 a gallon. And when I visited the great state of Iowa just a few weeks ago, I even saw $1.85 a gallon for gasoline.
This is actually one of the few good talking points he has, because gas has definitely been way down. Not quite as low as what he's saying where I'm at. $2.50, I think I paid last time. So it's getting closer to what he's saying, but he's talking national averages and lows because that's what they all do.
Mortgage rates are the lowest in 4 years and falling fast, and the annual cost of a typical new mortgage is down almost $5,000 just since I took office. 1 year. And low interest rates will solve the Biden-created housing problem well, at the same time protecting the values of those people who already own a house that really feel rich for the first time in their lives. We want to protect those values. We want to keep those values up. We're going to do both.
I'm definitely not a fan of him lately. Everything he's said he was going to do, he's gone back on pretty much almost everything. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Trump, and I'm pretty pissed at him actually.
And we are going to keep it that way. The stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election. Think of that, 1 year. Boosting pensions, 401ks, and retirement.
The stock market, it only matters to the people who have stocks, which are the older people who have all the money, and the rich people who buy stocks because they have all the money. To everyday Americans, the stock market is a stupid metric, and everyone should just shut the fuck up about it.
Counts for the millions and millions of Americans. They're all gaining. Everybody's up, way up. In 4 long years, the last administration got less than $1 trillion in new investment in the United States. And when I say less, substantially less. In 12 months, I secured commitments for more than $18 trillion pouring in from all over the globe. Think of it, much less than $1 trillion for 4 years versus much more than $18 trillion for 1 year. What a difference a president makes. A short time ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, the hottest.
What does he even mean by the hottest? Like, this is just stupid talking points. Get to some fucking actual things you've done, asshole.
As thousands of new businesses are forming in factories, plants, and laboratories are being built, we have added 70,000 new construction jobs in just a very short period of time. It's getting bigger and bigger and stronger. Nobody can believe what they're watching. American oil production is up by more than 600,000 barrels a day, and we just received from our new friend and partner, Venezuela, more than 80 million barrels of oil.
Our new friend and partner. That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, we just took out their leader. They're our friend and partner. Basically held a gun up to their head and said, you're going to do what we want. That's how they do it.
American natural gas production is at an all-time high because I kept my promise to drill, baby, drill. More Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. Think about that. Any time in the history of our country, more working today. And 100% of all jobs created under my administration have been in the private sector. We ended DEI in America.
I don't see how. I mean, I know that they did some in the military, but that doesn't end it in America. It just ends it in the government.
We got a record number of job-killing regulations, and in 1 year we have lifted 2.4 million Americans, a record, off of food stamps. And for all of these reasons, I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
How is it strong when we're more divided than ever? Like, genuine question. If anyone's out there, we're more divided than ever. The left is crazy about the immigration stuff and ICE, which is like the one thing he was doing that was good, aside from the gas prices. But then he kind of backed off. He let them win. So how are we stronger than ever? Even on the right, where like, oh, Sean's rating. Thank you, Sean. Welcome to everyone from Third Railified Chat. You guys all probably know me from over there. I try to go on when I can. But yeah, we're more divided than ever, even in the right. Like, you have the faction that's like Israel first. You have the faction that's America only. And then you have the fucking side that's like, shut up about the Epstein files, and the side that's like, the Epstein files are really all that matters, which I'm a part of. So yeah, it's all ridiculous. These are just stupid talking points that aren't real.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
Yeah, Olympic hockey is way more important than getting some arrests on these Epstein files, right? We're so winning. We're so back, guys. We're so fucking back. That's if I put these skeets on the cheek.
Go ahead. It's the first time I've ever seen them get up. And actually, not all of them did get up. But they beat a fantastic Canadian team in overtime, as everybody saw, as did the American women, who will soon be coming to the White House. They were in the Oval Office before, and I just want to say a second very big.
I'm going to bet that this is the one thing the Democrats stand for the whole time. That's just a wild take of mine, but, you know, they're not going to not stand for the Olympic team, even though I'm sure they would have wanted them to not show up like the women did, but whatever.
Congratulations to Team USA, but I have to say that, and I told them this, and we took a vote of the team. I said, anybody votes no, I'm not doing it. So they stood there, and they weren't about to say no, because I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuck. think of it, 46 shots on goal, and I asked him, the one shot, the one where you put your stick in the back and it hit the neck of your stick and bounced off, you practice that, or was that a little lucky? He refused to answer that question. But I just want to tell you that the members of this great hockey squad will be very happy to hear, based on their vote and my vote, and in this case my vote was more important, that I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given, and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Great athletes have gotten that, very great, the best, and I thought he deserved it. And I did take a vote, every single one of them. I said, I'm not giving it if anybody goes no, and every single one of them rapidly put up their hand. So I want to thank you. What a special job you did. What special champions you are. Thank you very much. I'm also pleased to say that the next time the Olympic torch is lit, it will be here in America for the 2028 Olympics, and it's the summer version right in Los Angeles. We're going to do a good job in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is going to be safe, just like Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities in the country. And this year,
I mean, yeah, he made a couple of the cities safer by bringing in National Guard and stuff, which is a good thing. I don't fault him for that. So, don't take that as a criticism. But, why hasn't he done that in the other cities? I don't know. Baltimore is probably still a shithole right next to D.C.
and I must say I got them both. I got them in the first term, and I was disappointed because I didn't think I'd be the president when this happened. But strange things took place. And now I've got them because I got the Olympics, I got the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and I wanted to claim the 250th, but I didn't get away with that one. I couldn't claim that one for myself. But we're getting the World Cup, so we have the World Cup and the Olympics coming, and that is exciting news. So this will be a year to celebrate our country and the heroes who have kept it free. Men like Buddy Taggart. At age 17, Buddy volunteered to defend America in World War II. Serving in the Pacific under the great General Douglas MacArthur. He fought bravely in the famous Battle of Manila, worked so hard. He was badly wounded and almost killed by enemy machine guns in Luzon. And 81 years ago this month, he liberated the largest internment camp in the Philippines, one of the largest anywhere in the world. But he earned many honors, including a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star, came home, started a family, and tonight he is in the gallery looking forward to July 4th, 2026, his 100th birthday.
I mean, good for him. This guy, whatever, but like these are all just ceremonial wins. There's nothing like, hey, our country is not at war like you promised. Hey, the tariffs are gone now. The ones that you promised so that we could bring manufacturing back. It's all fucked.
So, Buddy, you're a brave man, and we salute you. Even in times of challenge, setback, and immense heartache, the spirit of 1776 has always shone through very brightly. It was July 4th of last year when floodwaters tore through a girls' summer camp in Central Texas. One of the worst things I've ever seen. I was there, rising 26 feet in the matter of minutes, tragically claiming many, many lives. You all remember that one? As the waters threatened to sweep her away 11.
Spuds, I agree. He does need to have DHS staff manning the polling sites, but I don't think the Republicans have a chance to win after he's fumbled so hard. It's just all these wars, beef prices are down. I have not I have not seen that. 14 skeets on a Jeep. Beef prices are way up. I do get imported beef to avoid the all the bullshit that they inject our cows with, but it's more expensive than it was, even though I get the cheap beef.
Year-old Millie Kate McClament closed her eyes and prayed to God. She thought she was going to die. Those prayers were answered when Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin descended from a helicopter above. Nobody knew where he came from. It was Scott's first ever rescue mission, a young guy, but very brave, very, very top, always top in his class, and he lifted not just Millie Kate, but 164 others to safety. People watched Scott from a distance, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The winds were blowing, the rain was pouring, everything was going, and that rapid water, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They said, wow, that's something. Tonight, Scott and Millie Kate are here together, reunited for the very first time. Thank you, Scott, Millie Kate.
Oh, gotcha. 14 skeets and one G. I didn't realize that was sarcasm.
And Petty Officer Ruskin, I'm pleased to inform you that I am now awarding you the Legion of Merit for extraordinary heroism, which is what it was, extraordinary heroism. Thank you. And I'd like to have the military aide to please come down and take care of the service. Military aide, thank you very much. Take care of that.
You know, I used to buy chuck, right? Because the chuck, if you get the good one, it's like right off of the ribeye, and you could basically get a chuck eye that's very similar to ribeye and a Denver steak, which is a badass piece of meat. They used to be like $5-6 before all the craziness happened, and now they're like 10 to $12 a pound for those. It's insane for a fucking chuck, which is like a bullshit cut that no one really cares about.
Very important service. Thank you very much. From 1776 to today, every generation of Americans has stepped forward to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're really doing it for the next generation. But now it's our turn. Together, we're building a nation where every child has the chance to reach higher and go further, where government answers to the people, not the powerful, and where the interests of hardworking American citizens are always our first and ultimate concern. That is the debt we owe to the heroes who came before us, and that is the promise we must keep to America for our 250th year. Last year, I urged this Congress to begin the mission by passing the largest tax cuts in American history, and our Republican majorities delivered so beautifully. Thank you, Republicans. All Democrats, every single...
Yeah, definitely 14 skeets. Send me a link. I don't know if you're on X. It's Third Rail Podcast with third is the 3RD. If you want to DM it to me there, or if you want to comment it in here, I'll just click it and bookmark it. Either or.
One of them voted against these really important and very necessary massive tax cuts. They wanted large-scale tax increases to hurt the people instead.
I agree with you, Spuds, and more complete. He needs arrests for everyone who's been caught doing fucked up shit, but especially the Epstein stuff. Without the Epstein stuff, I would figure with a name like 14 Skeets on a G88, you'd probably be banned on X. But yeah, I mean, he needs to get all these arrests going. He backed out of the whole ICE thing in Minnesota. Like, how are we supposed to take him seriously? That was his biggest campaign promise. I'm gonna get rid of the immigrants, and then he didn't. He backed down. Cool, I got it. I'm gonna bookmark it and watch it later. Thanks, 14 Skeets.
But we held strong, and with the great, big, beautiful bill, we gave you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And we also made interest on oil loans tax deductible the first time, but only if the car is made in America.
So what happened in Minneapolis? More complete. I'd definitely like to hear about it. Yeah, just let us know what ended up happening, because he backed out basically after all the pressure, and the two. I don't know if both were in Minneapolis, but I know there was one that was in Minneapolis. I think the other one was in LA, but I could be wrong on that. I didn't really care too much about a bunch of retards getting killed. I probably shouldn't say that. I'm on YouTube. Got the Epstein list. I mean, we already know a lot of the big names, right? Bill Gates, the fucking wheelchair science guy who had ALS, whose name is Stephen Hawking. We have Clinton there like a million times. We have, I mean, yeah, there's a lot. Les Wexner was deeply involved. He said he was working for the Rothschilds. Like, it's not getting reported on by anyone outside of the internet. So the normies are never going to care enough. Yeah, they're subtards for sure. They're definitely subtards. But yeah, it's all just stupidity. It's it's stupidity. Trump is just straight up on here, uh, talking about bullshit wins that aren't really wins, and he doesn't have any real wins. He's bringing us to war in Iran. He's still sending money to Israel, like all this extra money, and he's also sending money to Ukraine still, which are things he promised would be over with. So what are we winning? Oh, we're so tired of winning. Please, yeah, I am tired of winning. If this is what you call winning, fucker.
Recently in Pennsylvania, I met Megan Hemhauser, a devoted mom who's homeschools her children, beautiful, 2 children, during the day while waiting tables at night as her husband works overtime operating very heavy equipment. Megan is here this evening, and she's happy to tell you that she is so
Oh yeah, allowed to contact ICE. They're not going to contact ICE. The whole government there is like against it. They want the illegals there. I don't know why. I don't know how they think it helps them. It doesn't help their American native citizens, but they care more about the extra representation that they get, even if they don't vote. Let's just pretend that no illegals ever vote. I don't buy that because I know there's a lot of states that don't. I know there's a lot of states that don't care about voter ID, but also they're getting represented because they're on the census. He didn't even fix the census thing yet, which he promised to do. That's going to be the biggest thing.
much richer because with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and our expanded child tax credit done again by Republicans, Megan and her
1,000%,
husband will take
Spuds.
home more than $5,000 extra just for the year, cutting her tax bill in more than half. Megan, please stand up. We're fighting for you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. We're fighting for you, Megan. Under our bill, parents like Megan can also activate their children's brand new Trump accounts. And I didn't name it. I did not name that. Nobody believes me, but I did not name it. It was named by a very tall man sitting right there in the third row. Nice man, a good man. Tax-free investment accounts for every American child. This is something that's so special and has taken off and gone through the roof. Millions will be pre-funded courtesy of the U.S. Treasury and private individuals like Michael and Susan Dell, who have donated $6.25 billion to fund the Trump accounts for 25 million American children.
I mean, that's actually pretty good, but okay, like if you can't afford to invest for your kids because you're not like, I mean, I think it's something like most of the stocks are owned by the other big, the Black Rocks and whatnot, State Street, Vanguard, all that shit. But um, outside of that, like, I think it's only like the top 50 or 60% of income earners, or the 50 or 60 percentile, are actually buying stocks. Like most Americans can't afford to pay rent or grocery. A lot of Americans are out there wondering, do I have to pay electricity or do I have to buy food this month? And they're not buying stocks. That doesn't help the people who are actually like suffering.
They're great people. When I asked Michael Dell, how do you make all that money? He said, well, I just sat on my dorm in school, and I made computers, and I'd sell them to people. And I just kept selling and selling and selling. And pretty amazing story. That's called the American dream. He sold a lot of computers, a lot of those laptops. So
See, Spuds, that's the thing. He's not against the protection of Israel. I don't believe that for a second. The problem is he is a Democrat, and especially on the left. I mean, the right is finally splitting on the Israel issue, but especially on the left, like it's for the last maybe 15 years or so, maybe a little longer, it's been very, very unpopular to be an open supporter of Israel. So he still supports them, I'm sure. He just can't be public about it. And I think that's why they didn't really try to rig this last election, because they knew that Israel was going to start pushing their wars. And so they basically paid off Trump to continue his support and let him get his legacy that he wanted. so that the Democrats didn't have to publicly support Israel. Because if Kamala had won, she would still be after Iran for Israel and all the other stuff he's done for them, like sending them all this extra billions. So nothing would have changed. It's just that the Democrats would have lost way too much face with their constituents, and they didn't want their constituents to think about voting third party, because if a third party gets, I think it's like 5% of the vote, then they'll officially get, like, the government funding. They'll be automatically put on the debate stage and all that other stuff. So the Democrats couldn't afford to lose their base on the Israel thing. The right, on the other hand, at the time, it was like me, but I'm not like some big figure, and Nick Fuentes and a couple of other people who were like, I'm not supporting Trump. It wasn't, everyone else was very much in favor of it and saying, like, who cares if he's gonna suck Bibi Netanyahu's dick, but we're gonna get at least immigration, which we're not getting. So it's all a clusterfuck. This was a setup. Ever since he picked Vance, I was like, oh, there's no fucking way we're getting anything.
I congratulate him on that, but I really thank him and Susan, as well as others like Brad Gerstner, a very tremendous guy. He was behind it right from the beginning. Brad Gerstner, thank you, Brad. So with modest additional contributions, these young people's accounts could grow to over $100,000 or more by the time they turn 18. Think of it. How much money is that for somebody that started with nothing? Over 100,000, could be much more than that. To make this investment in our children's future, go to trumpaccounts.gov, trumpaccounts.gov. And a lot of people are doing it. It's setting every record in the book. It's popular. They knew what it was going to take. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of the people that got it started. And now it's just taken off. One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones.
Spuds, I don't know about that, because the problem is, okay, let's say that his plan is to split the Dems who are pro-Israel. There aren't that many, and the Dems, we all know how the Dems operate. Like, if you're on the left and you don't agree with the the party's position, or the loudest voices on the internet's position, you get canceled if you're on the left. So none of those politicians can afford to be pro-Israel, at least not publicly. That's my take on it. So yeah, I don't think they're splitting the left. The left just keeps on pushing themselves further insane, and everyone follows it. Not that anti-Israel is insane. I'm probably the most anti-Israel guy on here, but yeah, I think it's kind of insane that they're doing that. That they just in lockstep all decide we want trans boys in girls' locker rooms, right? Like, this is all retarded.
Broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs.
That might have been a challenge.
Took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis. Everything was working well. Countries that were ripping us off for decades are now paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. They were ripping us so badly, you all know that. Everybody knows it. Even the Democrats know it. They just don't want to say it. And yet these countries are now happy, and so are we. We made deals. The deals are all done. And they're happy. They're not making money like they used to, but we're making a lot of money. There was no inflation, tremendous growth, and the big story was how Donald Trump called the economy correctly, and 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics didn't. They got it totally wrong.
This is another stupid thing that all the politicians do. They just can't help themselves. And it's that they'll talk about inflation, and he just said there's no inflation. Bullshit. Well, first of all, there's like, I think 2 or 3% this quarter, but that's how they cover it up. They act like if, oh, there's no inflation now. They completely forget that, like, during Biden, we went up like 20-30%. And that's 20-30% according to their fake ass numbers, because the way they do the inflation, okay, most people, their rent is like half of their income. Their car is maybe another 20%. Food is another 20%. And then at the end, you're left with 10% to, for any other little things you might need. The rent only accounts for like 20% of their calculation. and food only accounts for like, I think it's like 15% of their calculation. So they weigh in a lot of things that most people don't buy or can't afford, because it makes the numbers look better. It's all just numbers fudging.
Really wrong. And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court. It just came down. It came down. Very unfortunate ruling. But the good news is that almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made, right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful, country-saving, it's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in, peace-protecting.
Yeah, more complex. That's exactly what I was saying. They're the ones that are politicians are all pro-Israel, whether they say it or not. They're all getting the same APAC funding that the Republicans are. Otherwise, Republicans in their districts would be getting it and winning those races. So the Israel lobby needs to keep somewhat of a balance, because what happens is if you have only one side in power, then they can actually get called out when they don't do shit, like what's happening now with Trump. If you have a more balanced, like the Senate is 50-50, the House is like very close, and there's one guy that always votes against his party or whatever, like Manchin was before, and the other woman, Cinema. Then when the two parties are forced to agree to get something done, those agreements always fuck over the people. Like when you see both parties agree on something, we're getting fucked. So just like with the Patriot Act, everyone agreed on the Patriot Act and they've never not passed it again when it's time to renew it, because we're getting fucked on those. So yeah.
Any of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them without. Will remain in place under fully approved and tested alternative legal statutes. And they have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to a solution that will be even stronger than before.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time-tested and approved. And as time goes by, I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern-day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love. Right? Moving forward, factories, jobs, investment, and trillions of dollars will continue pouring into the United States of America because we finally have a president who puts America first. I put America first. I love America. For decades before I came along, we had the exact opposite. From trade to healthcare, from energy to immigration, everything was stolen and rigged in order to drain the wealth out of the productive, hardworking people.
He just spoke about the tariffs, and most quote unquote right wingers are not pro tariffs. But when you have all this crazy trade that we have, like where China is literally using slave labor and they can make parts infinitely cheaper than we can, and you have all this free trade, which isn't really free trade because all these countries tariff the fuck out of us and we don't tariff back. Like, he needs to actually get these tariffs in place if he actually wants to get manufacturing back. But the Supreme Court ruled against it. I don't know why right wingers are so against it. It's a form of protectionism, sure, but we're not playing on a level playing field. If we wanted to stoop to China's level and bring back slavery, then that's what we would have to do in order to compete with their prices, and we can't do that. So it's all, we do need the tariffs. Also, the government is way too big. It's supposed to, back in the day, it was all run on tariffs and taxes on multinational corporations. So yeah, Spuds, for sure. They're both two sides of the same fucking bird, two wings of the same bird, for sure.
Who make our country great, who make our country run. Under Biden and his corrupt partners in Congress and beyond, it reached a breaking point with the Green New Scam, open borders for everyone. They poured in by the millions and millions from prisons, from mental institutions. There were murders, 11,888 murders. They came into our country. You allowed that to happen. And record-setting inflation that cost the typical family $34,000 in just a speck of time. Now the same people in this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly used the word affordability, a word. They just used it. Somebody gave it to them, knowing full well that they caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem. They knew their statements were a lie. They knew it. They knew their statements were a dirty, rotten lie. Their policies created the high prices. Our policies are rapidly ending them. We are doing really well.
See, that's where I disagree more complete. Tariffs, yeah, at first it does hurt people, but it forces the corporations to start building stuff here if they don't want to pay those tariffs. The problem is that Trump wasn't willing to put the tariffs where it needed to be. Also, if you think about it, the stuff that's tariffed for the most part, I mean, I buy imported beef because it's cheaper where I am, and you don't have to deal with all the like hormones that they put in the cows here to make them grow like crazy. But the other thing is we can make all the necessities of life here, like food, and uh, we have lumber here. Everything can be made here. The only things that we don't have here are things that are like extras, like what I would call luxuries. Not necessarily they're luxuries, like computer parts are built in China. Sure. Okay, we up the price of computer parts. They're already going crazy anyway. But the problem is that we don't have production of that here. So if you tariff it, people can't afford to buy it. And then those companies are forced to build plants here, or Americans are forced to build plants here. I'm honestly against foreigners owning businesses here personally, but that's just me. But, he wasn't able to do the tariffs. And when he was able to do them, he didn't, he just used them as a leverage thing to get the trade going, but he didn't implement them to as a permanent thing. Like, yeah, we're just on tariffs now, and so people need to buy here, build here, buy here. He didn't leave them in place for that, so he fucked up too with the tariffs. It wasn't just that they fucked him over. The RAM price and the history of chips. Well, I know that back in the day, chips were made here. Texas Instruments, I think, were like some of the first ones, and then they ended up moving to Taiwan, and now we're just the minute China takes Taiwan, the rest of the world has to suck their dick. Basically, we're all fucked the minute they take Taiwan. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And I'm not for war for it, but that's the one where I'm kind of like, we might need to.
Those prices are plummeting downward. The price of eggs is down 60%. Madam Secretary, thank you. The cost of chicken, butter, fruit, hotels, automobiles.
Okay, eggs were up because of that stupid thing where they were killing off all the chickens over some scare of bird flu, same as the chicken price. Those are the only ones that have come down, and they only came down because they were so inflated because of that manufactured crisis. Also, like they burned like a Purdue factory down, and I think there was actually two big chicken processing plants that were burned to the ground. And so, yeah, that artificially brought up the price of chicken and eggs. But now it's not that. Now, I mean, we're down because of that, but the prices are still inflated beyond what they were.
Is lower today than when I took office by a lot. And even beef, which was very high, is starting to come down significantly. Just hold on a little while, we're getting it down. And soon you will see numbers that few people would think were possible to achieve just a short time ago. Nobody can believe when they see the kind of numbers, and especially energy. When they see energy going down to numbers like that, they cannot believe it. It's like another big tax cut.
Yeah,
We're also
no, they were
confronting one
definitely
of the
chicken
biggest ripoffs
murderers.
of our times, the crushing cost of health care caused by you. Since the passage of the Unaffordable Care Act, sometimes referred to as Obamacare, big insurance companies have gotten rich. It was meant for the insurance companies, not for the people. With our government giving them hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year as their stock prices soared 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, and even 1,700%, like nothing else. That's why I introduced the great health care plan. I want to stop all payments to big insurance companies and instead give that money directly to the people so they can buy their own health care, which will be better health care at a much lower cost.
I mean, that would be good if he can make it so that America can buy as a one unit and not force anyone to buy insurance, just the people who want it. But if he could make it so that the insurance companies have to treat Americans as a company, that would be pretty good. But I don't think he's going to do that. I'm not for government in healthcare at all. I'm actually pro abolish all the health insurance companies because they're the reasons that the prices are out of hand. Like if you look at laser eye surgery, it's dirt cheap now compared to where it started, and no insurance covers it, or hardly any insurance covers it. And that's why it's gotten better and cheaper.
In addition, my plan requires maximum price transparency. That's a big deal.
RFK, what a letdown that guy is, huh? They were going to make America healthy again, and now they're allowing all the chemicals back in, Roundup back in the food supply, promoting it, saying we need more of it. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? This guy must hate his life right now.
Sounds so simple, so big. And I did that in my first term, and the Democrats immediately terminated it with full knowledge that they were doing a very bad thing for the people. Costs were going to go way up, and that's what happened, and now I'm bringing them way down on healthcare and everything else. I'm also ending the wildly inflated cost of prescription drugs like it's never happened before. Other presidents tried to do it, but they never...
Well, more complete, we actually have a company that manufactures, and Trump went full on like commie and made it a... now the government is part owner of it, but Intel manufactures chips, not to the same level as TSMC, which is like the main one that does like a lot of the, like all the real high end stuff. But, you know, they're getting close, and new technologies are coming out because they're at a point with chips that they can't really advance the whole process in the way that they're doing it currently. So it's going to be an open field pretty soon once they get past the, I think it's 2 nanometer level. But right now it's still, yeah, TSMC is way ahead, but not, I mean, not that far ahead, but they're ahead. Intel's catching up a little bit.
But they tried. Most didn't try, actually. But they tried. They said they tried. They couldn't do it. They didn't even come close. They were all talk and no action. But I got it done.
Well, they're
under my
not
just
just
enacted
stacking
most
cores on
favored
chip. The
nation
ones that
agreements,
have like a lot
Americans
of,
who have for decades
that have like crazy amounts of cores are just much bigger chips too. Like I do keep up with a lot of the tech stuff, like Threadripper, and then the Epic chips, which are the AMDs that have like 200 and something cores. They're just giant, ridiculous chips. Yeah.
by far the highest prices of any nation anywhere in the world for prescription
gotcha.
drugs will now pay the lowest price anywhere in the world for drugs. Anywhere, the lowest price. So in my first year of the second term, should be my third term, but strange things happen, I took prescription drugs, a very big part of healthcare, from the highest price in the entire world to the lowest. That's a big achievement. The result is price differences of 300, 400, 500, 600% and more, all available right now at a new website called TrumpRx.gov. And I didn't name that one either, by the way. And here tonight is the very first customer ever to get that big discount, and it is big.
Oh yeah, for sure. Never. I don't trust any government. I'm in Florida. We have a pretty okay government, I guess, but I don't even trust them. I don't even trust them. They're all terrible. Neuro. I can't with any of them.
Catherine Rayner. For 5 years, she and her husband have struggled with infertility, and they turned to IVF. One drug has been costing Catherine $4,000 to purchase. But a few weeks ago, she logged onto the TrumpRx website and got that same drug that cost $4,000, got it for under $500, a reduction of much more, actually, than $3,500. Catherine, we are all praying for you, and you're going to be a great mom. So now I'm calling on Congress to codify my most favored nation program into law. Now, the one thing, I'm not sure it matters because it's going to be very hard for somebody that comes along after me to say, let's raise drug prices by 700 or 800%. But John and Mike, if you don't mind, codify it anyway. They may do it. Codify it anyway. Thank you. Many Americans are also concerned that energy demand from AI data centers could unfairly drive up their electric utility bills. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that I have negotiated the new Ratepayer Protection Pledge. You know what that is? We're telling the major tech companies that they have the obligation to provide for their own power needs. They can build their own power plants as part of their factory so that no one's prices will go up. And in many cases, prices of electricity will go down for the community, and very substantially down. This is a unique strategy never used in this country before. We have an old grid. It could never handle the kind of numbers, the amount of electricity that's needed. So I'm telling them they can build their own plant. They're going to produce their own electricity. It will ensure the company's ability to get electricity while at the same time lowering prices of electricity for you, and could be very substantial for all of you cities and towns. You're going to see some good things happen over the next number of years. Another pillar of the American dream that has been under attack is home ownership. With us tonight is Rachel Wiggins, a mom of two from Houston. She placed bids on 20 homes and lost all of those bids to gigantic investment firms that bypassed inspection, paid all cash, and turned those houses into rentals, stealing away her American dream. She was devastated.
Yeah, the water is a big issue. They need a ton of water to cool these AI systems. Like, it's insane. HBM is the thing now. I think you're talking about HMB. That's for the graphics memory for the data center chips. If I'm reading you right. Yeah, it's a faster memory type, but it still uses the same memory chips, which means that they're still going to be taking the memory we need for RPCs. It's all kind of lame.
Stories like this are why last month I signed executive order to ban large Wall Street investment firms from buying up in the thousands single-family homes. And now I'm asking Congress to make that ban permanent because homes will.
Okay, yeah, I think you're talking about the same thing I am. Maybe I had it backwards, but yeah, is that the more complete? Is that the data center chip memory, the one that go on the NVIDIA Teslas and the what is it? The damn it, I can't remember.
People.
Hey, Teabag,
Really, that's what
therapist.
we want homes for people,
Glad to
not
have
for
you.
corporations. Corporations are doing just fine. Raysel, thank you very much. Good luck with your home. You'll get one soon. We're also working to make it easier for Americans to save for retirement. And under this administration, we will always protect Social Security and Medicare. They are not protecting it for our seniors. We will always protect Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Since I took office, the typical 401k balance is up by at least 30.
Medicare, that's a big issue, though. I mean, I'm not saying I want all the old people to fucking die and not have their needs taken care of, but the entitlements programs are why we're going so far into debt. I mean, aside from war and stuff, but the entitlements are a thing that right wingers have always said we need to get rid of. And then Trump gets in, wants to make them even bigger, probably. And now the Republicans cheer it on. And the Democrats, funny enough, won't even stand when he says something like that.
$1,000. That's a lot of money. We have millions and millions of people, because the stock market has done so well, setting all those records. Your 401ks are way up. Yet half of all of working Americans still do not have access to a retirement plan with matching contributions from an employer. To remedy this gross disparity, I'm announcing that next year my administration will give these often forgotten American workers, great people, the people that built our country, access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker. We will match your contribution with up to $1,000 each year. As we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information.
I mean, does he not realize that Congress has to pass that in order for it to go through, for him to sign it? They're never going to pass that. They can all stand up and cheer and grandstand and pretend like they're all going to sign it. I guarantee you, Thomas Massey will probably be the only one.
They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Got it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay. I wasn't sure if anybody even on this side was going to applaud for that. I'm very impressed. Thank you. I'm very impressed. But when it comes to the corruption that is plundering, it's plundering America. There's been no more stunning example than Minnesota, where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion from the American taxpayer. Oh, we have all the information. And in actuality, the number is much higher than that. And California, Massachusetts, Maine, and many other states are even worse. This is the kind of corruption that shreds the fabric of a nation, and we are working on it like you wouldn't believe.
You know, he can talk all this shit about the Somalis and these scams that are getting us for all these billions of dollars. But when Doge was trying to save us billions of dollars, he disbanded it and didn't keep any of the cuts that they recommended. So I don't believe it. Until he does it, I don't believe it.
So tonight, although started 4 months ago, I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President, J.D. Vance. We'll get it done. And we're able to find enough of that fraud. We will actually have a balanced budget overnight. It'll go very quickly. That's the kind of money you're talking about. We'll balance our budget. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception. Importing these cultures through unrestricted immigration and open borders brings those problems right here to the USA. And it is the American people who
Poor little Somali. Fucking go fuck your brother again.
pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates, rent, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, crime. We will take care of this problem. We're going to take care of this problem. We are not playing games. Delilah. Delilah Colton was only 5 years old in June 2024 when an 18-wheel tractor trailer plowed into her stopped car traveling at 60 miles an hour or more. The driver was an illegal alien let in by Joe Biden and given a commercial driver's license by open borders politicians in California. Doctors said Delilah would never be able to walk or talk.
Oh, definitely.
She wouldn't
The
even be able
problem
to eat
is,
again.
the problem with that though is,
now
Buds,
in the
that
first grade learning to walk, and she's here.
the normies can relate to it, but the left is so brainwashed that even if they find and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, which to me it already has been, but to the left it's got to be way farther. Even if they prove it, they're just going to say you just racist against Somalis, and they're not going to get behind it. Now some of the more normie Democrats will be fine with it, but it's not going to get mass support, and those normie Democrats are going to end up getting pushed over to the right. Unfortunately, in my opinion, the right isn't much better than the left right now, and that's just the sad state of affairs, really.
This evening with her dad, Marcus, a fantastic man. Delilah, please, you are a great inspiration. Please stand up. Thank you, Delilah. Most illegal aliens do not speak English and cannot read even the most basic road signs as to direction, speed, danger, or location. That's why tonight I'm calling on Congress to pass what we will call the Delilah Law, barring any state from granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens.
Oh, totally. What he's talking about with I live in Miami. In Miami, English is not a language, really. Like most people just speak Spanish. I answer phones for a living, and 90% of my calls, they act like I'm speaking Greek to them when I answer the phone and demand I speak Spanish, which I do, but it's just rude. Like it's one thing if I decide to help you in Spanish, but when you just assume, why don't you talk Spanish to me? It's like fucked up. And they're all licensed down here, and it's one of the reasons our drivers here are the craziest and worst in the country. That's for damn sure.
And yesterday, as you probably saw at the White House, I hosted a ceremony.
Oh, well, I would probably qualify for like Section 8 and food stamps just based on my income. They're not going to give it to me. They're going to give it to like some single mother who made a million bad choices, which is fine. I don't want government assistance. During COVID, that was the only time I ever took it, just because there was no work to be had. But yeah, it's like a fucking pride thing for me. I really just don't want it. But life would be a whole lot fucking easier if I had it. I'll tell you that.
With Americans who lost their treasured loved ones to the scourge of illegal immigration. People came into our country, how we allowed this to happen with our open borders. These are the angel moms and families that for decades our government betrayed and our media totally ignored. It was terrible. Hard to believe, actually. In 2023, a 16-year-old high school cheerleader named Elizabeth Medina was supposed to perform in her town's Christmas parade, but she never arrived. Her mother, Jacqueline, went home to look for her, and she found her lying dead in a bathtub, bleeding profusely after being stabbed 25 times. Elizabeth's killer was a previously arrested illegal alien who had broken in and brutally extinguished the brightest light in her family's life.
What's going
Violently
to
and viciously.
increase?
Her heartbroken mother is in the gallery to remind everyone in this chamber exactly why we are deporting illegal alien criminals to our country.
Neuro, kind of, but it's like Gen X and younger maybe are the ones that are not. My mom's a Democrat. She'll never vote Republican. She's a boomer. She will never vote Republican just because that, even though she says, "Oh, I would vote," no, she won't. She says it. She won't. Um, and there's a lot of normies that are like that. That just they're not really politically engaged. They don't understand what their party even stands for anymore because they don't pay attention. So I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree. I think the normie Democrat is an moron, or should be, but it's not. The older people aren't changing party. The younger people kind of are, but that means that the ones that are left as Democrats are more extreme. I think it's all rigged anyway. I don't think it matters. We're not going to vote our way out of this. So I don't see it happening. I've never been a Democrat or a Republican, Neuro. I've been a libertarian, not the party, just the ideology. I registered Republican to vote for Ron Paul. I never unregistered Republican because there's no Democrat that was gonna be cool with guns and low taxes. At least on the Republican side, I had a chance. But after Trump, I just don't think I can ever vote for another Republican unless they put up like a Thomas Massey or maybe a Rand Paul, even though I have my issues with Rand Paul. Yeah, I'm a small L libertarian too. Like the party is bullshit. It's like you have part of the party, like the Dave Smith wing of the party, that's like, okay, I agree with them. But then you have the other side of the party that's like, what is it that they said? The woman that ran, I can't remember her name. She said we must be anti-racists. Okay, whatever, bitch. Fuck that.
Get record numbers, and we're getting them the hell out of here fast. We don't want them.
Oh yeah, no, definitely more complete. Just classical, the classic liberal, classic liberal as in Democrat, not classical liberal, which is more. I guess you could say it should be the centrist position, but it's not. Um, but yeah, like the classic Democrat is now on the right because the Overton window has shifted that far. It's kind of insane.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Thank you. We can never forget that many in this room not only allowed the border invasion to happen before I got involved, but indeed they would do it all over again if they ever had the chance. If they ever got elected, they would open up those borders to some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world. The only thing standing between Americans and a wide open border right now is President Donald J. Trump and our great Republican patriots in Congress. Thank you. Thank you. As we speak, Democrats in this chamber have cut off all funding for the Department of Homeland Security. It's all cut off. It's all cut off. They have instituted another Democrat shutdown, the first one costing us 2 points on GDP. 2 points we lost on GDP, which probably made them quite happy, actually.
No, the GDP. God forbid the GDP lose any points. It's fucking retarded. The GDP doesn't help anybody. It helps the rich company investors and owners. It doesn't help everyday Americans. That's always a stupid metric. Whenever they say that, I cringe. Like, is income compared to cost of living up? Oh, no, but the GDP is up, so we're cool. Everything's good now. Fucking idiots.
Now they have closed the agency responsible for protecting Americans from terrorists and murderers. Tonight I'm demanding the full and immediate restoration of all funding for the border security, homeland security of the United States, and also for helping people clean up their snow. We have no money because of the Democrats, and it would be nice. We'd love to give you a hand at cleaning it up, but you give no money. Nobody's getting paid. It's a shame. So you have to think about it. We have, in case you didn't know, a pretty large snowstorm out there. One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans a chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement,
the CPI is exactly what I was talking about before, with where the where they say that inflation is this much, but really it's a lot higher for most people because most people put a much higher percentage, like for like I was saying, for rent, I think they only calculate 20% of your income. So if rent goes up, they only account 20% of it towards the inflation numbers, which is like complete bullshit because most people are paying like 50%, some even more of their income towards rent. So how can that only account for that in the GDP in the inflation numbers, and CPI is the same. They fudge the numbers to make it look not as bad as it is, but that's all fake and gay.
Then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country. They're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm not a fan of Trump right now. I really don't like the guy. He's broken like most of his promises. Promises made, promises broken is should be his motto. But Democrats criticize him for the most retarded shit ever. And it's like, why do you make me defend him? I don't even know what this bitch is yelling about. Probably like Somalis are the best or something. But like, it's nothing that he's doing that's actually bad. Like when he does bad things, they don't say anything about that because they're typically in favor of them, really, probably. Like all the wars, like they don't criticize him for the wars. Remember when he bombed Syria in his first term? And that was the first time the news ever said, oh, look how presidential he looked. Oh, well, when he's bombing other fucking countries, that's when he's presidential, when he's breaking his promise about not wanting to go to war. Yeah, okay. That's how these Democrats are. Like 99% of them don't have a leg to stand on, and it's just fucking stupid.
And perhaps most importantly, I'm asking you to approve the Save America Act.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay when I speak over
To
the
stop illegal
video?
aliens and others
Let me
for
know.
unpermitted persons from voting in our sacred American elections. The cheating is rampant in our elections. It's rampant. It's very simple. All voters must show voter ID.
See, I don't know how he's gonna get this passed. I mean, I hope he does. It needs to happen. Every state needs to. I lived in California for a little bit, and you literally just needed to go in there, give them a name and an address. I could have voted for my neighbor if I knew he wasn't in town and wasn't going to vote. It's like the stupidest thing ever. So when they say no illegals vote, yeah, maybe in Florida no illegals vote because here they require actual, and I'm sure it's not none, but it's at least greatly reduced. But whenever they tell you, oh, illegals never vote, that's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. States like California, the problem is that the states have a right to, under the Constitution, the states have a right to run their own election. So I don't know how he's going to get around this and basically take more power federally. this is one I agree with. I typically don't agree with federal power grabs, but this needs to happen. Like, there's no reason that anyone should be in favor of not having to show an ID. It's like it's okay. How do we want to destroy the country? That's basically what they want when they don't want voter ID. Can you guys hear me when I'm speaking over the video, or is the video too loud for that? Let me know, guys.
All voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. And no more crooked mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. None. And this should be an easy one. And by the way, it's polling at 89%, including Democrats. 89%. And even the new communist mayor of New York City, I think he's a nice guy, actually. Speak to him a lot. Bad policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard. Want them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a Social Security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in America. No, it's no good. No good. Both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens.
I got to look into that more complete. I'm pretty sure the Constitution outlines that states have the right to run their own elections. I'm not sure about that one, but I'm definitely going to look into it and see what rights he does have to do to change. States have initial control, but for federal positions, they have to comply with federal oversight. Null and void if federal legislation is ignored. Yeah, well, you have to be a citizen. That's for damn sure, Neuro. Unfortunately, it's not always the case. So,
and the reason they don't want to do it, why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. There's only one reason. They make up all excuses. They say it's racist. They come up with things. You almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat. They have cheated. And their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it. We have to stop it, Josh. And here is one more opportunity to show common sense in government. In the gallery tonight are Sage Blair and her mother, Michelle. In 2021, Sage was 14 when school officials in Virginia sought to socially transition her to a new gender, treating her as a boy and hiding it from her parents. Hard to believe, isn't it? Before long, a confused Sage ran away from home. After she was found in a horrific situation in Maryland, a left-wing judge refused to return Sage to her parents because they did not immediately state that their daughter was their son. Sage was thrown into an all-boys state home and suffered terribly for a long time. But today, all of that is behind them because Sage is a proud and wonderful young woman with a full-ride scholarship to Liberty University. Sage and Michelle, please stand up.
oh, I completely agree that birthright citizenship needs to go. I mean, the whole anchor baby phenomenon is kind of bullshit. Yeah, that shit's got to go for sure.
And thank you for your great bravery. And who can believe that we're even speaking about things like this? 15 years ago, if somebody was up here and said that, they'd say, what's wrong with him? But now we have to say it because it's going on all over numerous states without even telling the parents. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we've been talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
You knew that was going to get a pop. They are definitely crazy. And he's lying, though, when he says that federal election ID for election is polling at 89%, even with Democrats. I don't believe that. The Democrats are too far gone for the numbers to be that high. I really just don't believe it. I would like to. It would give me hope if it was really true, but I just don't believe it at all.
Amazing. Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we? No one cares more about protecting America's youth than our wonderful First Lady. Now a movie star. She's a movie star. Can you believe it?
Spuds, are you doing the polling stuff in Florida or in your home state? I know you moved here recently. At least I think you full-time moved here, but I'm curious.
Who would have believed that? Over the past year, she has had an incredible impact championing AI legislation, advancing a landmark executive order on foster care, and helping secure $30 million to launch the Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative. It's a tremendous, really a tremendous thing that happened and had a lot of bipartisan support. She gets much better bipartisan
You're in New York?
support than I do. I get none. She gets a lot. Someday you're going to have to tell me how you did that. And students and educators in every state have joined the First Lady's efforts in the presidential AI challenge, keeping America's next generation positioned to succeed and strongly succeed in the future. Tonight, we welcome two young people whose lives reflect the First Lady's impact, Sierra Burns and Everest Nevermont. Thank you both, and Melania, thank you. I know how hard you worked on it. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, more complete. I know that. It was in the arguments for the amendment. That's what they were making very clear, that it was the reason that they were passing that was to give black people who were slaves and who weren't citizens at the time, to give them and their children citizenship. It wasn't to bring in, so a Mexican guy could come into the country with his wife. His wife is pregnant, and then she gives birth, and then they all now have legal status. It definitely wasn't for that. Like, I fucking hate Tim Pool. He's a fucking loser, and a Bibi Netanyahu dick suck. But the one example he always gives that I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty good example with the birthright citizenship. Like, what if a Chinese mother came here, gave birth, now her son is an American citizen, they go back to China, he's raised as a communist his whole life, and then they sleeper cell agent him back to America with a ton of money, fully educated, probably speaks English without an accent, and then he can become president as a official puppet of China. I mean, Biden was a puppet of China too, but that's, oh yeah, Neuro, I definitely respect what Tim Pool built. I used to like him a lot, and then he kind of just became a Trump, anything Trump does is good kind of guy. He says he criticizes him, but it's like kind of like he hand slaps him, right? He doesn't like smack him like he deserves to be smacked when he deserves to be smacked. He just gives him a little slap on the wrist. Fucking God, I hate what he became.
I'm very proud to say that during my time in office, both the first 4 years and in particular this last year, there has been a tremendous renewal in religion, faith, Christianity, and belief in God. Tremendous renewal. This is especially true among young people, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great guy.
Oh God, not her. Anyone but her. Where are the fireworks?
So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred, really martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Erica, please.
I watch him when he has a guest that I care to see on. Other than that, I just don't watch him. Like, every once in a while, I'll have someone like good or funny, like a Milo, like Ryan Long or someone like that. But other than that, I don't watch him.
Stand. Thank you, Erica.
They all do the coffee dropship grift more complete. They all do. Like, every single person that's slanging coffee are all just getting white label coffee. Oh fuck! Who's Casper? Who's trolling?
Been through a lot. In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind. We love religion, and we love bringing it back, and it's coming back at levels that nobody actually thought possible. It's really a beautiful thing to see. Above all, unleashing America's promise requires keeping our community safe. We have made incredible strides, yet dangerous repeat offenders continue to be released by pro-crime Democrat politicians again and again. We are honored to be joined tonight by a woman who's been through hell, Anya Zaretska. In 2022, she and her beautiful daughter, so beautiful, what a beautiful young woman, Irina, fled war-torn Ukraine to live with relatives near Charlotte, North Carolina. And by the way, what's going on with Charlotte? Last summer, 23-year-old Irina was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who had been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail stood up and viciously slashed a...
Does he really know? I know he always says that, but I have trouble believing it. I don't know. Then again, he was pretty pissed when some deal didn't go through, so maybe he does. I don't know, but I have trouble believing it.
Through her neck and body. No one will ever forget there were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zaretska, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure...
Well, they don't stand because it was a black guy that murdered her daughter, and they don't want to criminalize the black guy because fucking wokeness. That's why.
That violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there. Starting last summer, I deployed our National Guard and federal law enforcement to restore law and order to our most dangerous cities, including Memphis, Tennessee, big success, New Orleans, Louisiana, big success, and our nation's capital itself, Washington, D.C., where we have almost no crime anymore in Washington, D.C. How did that happen? In fact, crime in Washington is now at the lowest level ever recorded, and murders in D.C. this January were down close to 100% from a year ago. They don't like to hear that. One of the sick people, one of the brave service members who helped achieve this stunning turnaround was 20-year-old West Virginia Army National Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. After a 4-month deployment, she voluntarily extended her service, and her rank was going to be lifted. She was doing so well. They were so proud of her. But the very next day, she was on patrol near the White House when she was ambushed and shot in the head by a terrorist monster from Afghanistan. Shouldn't have been in our country. And all because she wore the uniform of our nation. She was shot. He traveled here because he didn't like people wearing our uniform. He was sick and deranged, shouldn't have been in our country. Sarah Beckstrom died in order to defend our capital, and we are honored to be joined by her wonderful parents, Gary and Evalie. Your daughter was a true American patriot, and she will be greatly missed. She was a great person. I saw reports on her that never seen anything like it.
Spuds the Quartering is a pretty big content creator. He's been doing live streams now too. Pretty big in every sense of the word. I'm one to talk though.
So sorry. Thank you very much. A great young lady. I saw reports that were like, perfect. He was perfect. Serving alongside Sarah that day was Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. The terrorist shot Andrew in the head, and no one thought he could possibly make it. The two of them, Sarah and Andrew, both shot violently in the head. Neither was expected to make it. They weren't even given a chance, except his wonderful mother, named Melody, who I spoke to the same night, and she was so positive. The doctors thought that Andrew was gone, but his mother said, no, Mr. President, Andrew will be fine. He's going to make it. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he was given almost no chance. She said, I have no doubt, sir, he's going to be okay. This was a conversation that I had with her that night, with her son laying helplessly in bed, blood all over. Everybody is praying, she said, sir, he will be okay. The doctors didn't understand what she was saying, and after looking at the results of the damage done, neither did I. She was so strong and conclusive that even Andrew's great father felt she didn't really understand the gravity of the situation. But she turned out to be right. Right, Melody? She turned out to be right.
didn't know he was getting exposed for anything other than being a drunk retard and pissing in the corner of his garage, drunk. His drunk streams used to be kind of funny, to be honest. But yeah, I don't watch a lot of the quartering. Every once in a while, he'll cover something that interests me, but not too much. He's kind of another establishment Trump shill like Tim Pool.
Amazing, actually. I said, where does this woman come from? She's the most positive person I've ever met. With God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, and we're talking about the edge of death, on his way to a miraculous recovery. He's got a little work to do, but he's doing great. Nice to see you. He's a good-looking guy. Nice to see you. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you very much. So, Andrew, while you're up, now I'm going to ask a highly respected General James Seward to present Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf and the great family of Sarah Beckstrom with the award created by our late great President George Washington himself. It's called the Purple Heart.
It's just another optics win. Like, it's not like a win-win. It's just like, yeah, I'm giving another soldier a medal. I don't think he has too many actual wins other than the gas prices.
We love you all. Love you. We're proudly restoring safety for Americans at home, and we are also restoring security for Americans abroad. Our country has never been stronger. In my first 10 months, I ended 8 wars, including Cambodia. Isn't it funny? They're sick people. Cambodia and Thailand. Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia. Israel and Iran. Egypt and Ethiopia. Armenia and Azerbaijan. The Congo and Rwanda. And, of course, the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jared. And I also want to thank the man they report to, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Thank you, Marco.
Little Marco. I fucking hate that guy. As a Florida resident, fuck that guy. Guy's horrible. He just knows who's ass to kiss. That's why he's in with Trump. The guy is a flip-flopper. He's a warmonger. He's probably the main reason we jumped into Venezuela to begin with. He'll be the main reason we go to Cuba and Mexico and all these other countries that we're probably going to invade.
People like you. You know, Marco got 100% of the votes when he was in confirmation. I think our next one was about 54%. And some of the Democrats are now saying, I can't believe we approved that guy. And he said it's an honor that they feel that way. Right, Marco? You have done a great job. Great secretary.
Of course they approved him. He's like a fucking establishment hack. He was not the guy that wasn't going to get approved. And the reason that Matt Gaetz isn't there instead of Pam Bondi is because he would have come after everyone and definitely the Epstein files people. But he's definitely, Marco's definitely a quote unquote team player for the establishment.
Secretary of State. I think he'll go down as the best ever. Under the ceasefire I negotiated, every single hostage, both living and dead, has been returned home. Can you believe that? Nobody thought it was possible. Nobody thought that was possible. Both living and dead. And those parents who had a dead son, their boy, they'd always tell me their boy, they wanted him as much as though he were living. It was an amazing period of time. And they came back, and when we got all of the living hostages back, and many, many before them, but I always said those last 20 are going to be very tough. But we got many, many more, hundreds. But I said those last 20 are going to be tough. We got them back. But we only got back 14 or 15 of the dead of the 28. And believe it or not, Hamas worked along with Israel, and they dug, and they dug, and they dug. It's a tough thing to do, going through bodies all over, passing up 100 bodies sometimes for each one that they found. Tough job. And They finally got it back to 27. And then Steve and Jared, they got it back to 28. They found all 28. Nobody thought that was possible, but we did it. And I remember the family of the 28th. They were so grieved, but they were so happy as it's possible to be. They had their boy back. The mother said, "Sir, we have our boy back." What a period of time that was, but we got them all back. So thank you both very much. Take care.
Shout out to my bruv, James Domenico Graban, in the YouTube chat. You can catch me with him and our buddy Ray Ray is Happy every Wednesday on Ray's channel. Ray Ray is Happy on YouTube for Bruvs Unite.
And we're working very hard to end the ninth war, the killing and slaughter between Russia and Ukraine, where 25,000 soldiers are dying each and every month. Think of that, 25,000 soldiers are dying a month. A war which would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. As president, I will make peace wherever I can, but I will never hesitate to confront threats to America wherever we must. That's why in a breakthrough operation last June, the United States military obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program with an attack on Iranian soil known as Operation Midnight Hammer.
Spuds, I don't know if Cuba's going to self-liberate. I mean, they might make it look like a self-liberation with CIA intervention, because that's kind of how they do. But I don't think that they will self-liberate for sure. It'll be U.S. involvement all the way, in my opinion. But what do I know? I'm just a half Cuban in Miami, the AKA the capital of Cuba.
For decades, it had been the policy of the United States never to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Many decades. Since they seized control of that proud nation 47 years ago, the regime and its murderous proxies have spread nothing but terrorism and death and hate. They've killed and maimed thousands of American service members and hundreds of thousands and even millions.
You know, Spuds, I think that there's a likelihood that Canada will become the 51st state or something along those lines. Like, if you look at what they're doing, you know, the plan from like the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, all these hidden hand kind of secret society organizations, they wanted to split the world into, I think it's like 13. It would be 13, right? Of course, because that's the number they love. But I think it was 13 trade zones, basically. And one of them was the North American Union. We were supposed to have a currency called the Amero, and it was basically Greenland, Canada, United States, Mexico, and the rest of Central America. And now they're starting he has already supposedly made a deal with Greenland where he's going to give every citizen of Greenland $1 million, and then they're going to somehow become one of our territories. Yes, teabagging, that's the one. The Club of Rome. Okay, they're all pretty much the same group anyway. Club of Rome, Trilateral Commission, all that shit. But yeah, now he's made a deal where he's gonna give them all $1 million to become, I guess, a territory of the United States. And I wouldn't be surprised if Canada falls as that. Yeah, it's an old one for sure, but that doesn't mean it's not valid. I still think that's their plan. We're already going into Mexico. Like, that's just a war waiting to happen. So it won't be long. We'll be there, unfortunately.
People with what's called roadside bombs. They were the kings of the roadside bomb. And we took out Soleimani. I did that during my first term. Had a huge impact. He was the father of the roadside bomb. And just over the last couple of months with the protests, they've killed at least, it looks like 32,000 protesters. 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hung them. We stopped them from...
It's definitely subject to change. And I think they may be accelerating. No, it was $1 million, American dollars, Spuds. I remember NAFTA. Definitely remember NAFTA. Clinton, what's his name, called it out. Ross Perot called it out that election. He said the big sucking sound was the vacuum of Perot should have won. They threatened his family. He dropped out, and then when he came back, he didn't have the same momentum. But he was leading in the polls that election. He would have won if he didn't drop out. And they threatened his daughter, I believe, if I remember right. At least that's what he said. But I believe him because he was the one trying to stop all this bullshit. But yeah, I mean, the plan is definitely subject to change, and it looks like they're accelerating the whole Project Bluebeam fake alien invasion to kind of force us to agree to a world government. I think that's if the whole North American Union thing doesn't happen ASAP, I mean, they're already kind of putting gasoline on the fire of the Project Bluebeam stuff with all this fake alien disclosure.
Hanging a lot of them with the threat of.
Well, at the time, Spuds, at the time it was Mexico though, because and Mexico did take a bunch of jobs because all of Detroit basically moved to Mexico. So it yeah, China is the bigger threat in that scenario for sure, but Mexico was the one that was, then and there causing a terrible impact here. And it's one of the reasons that Detroit became like such a hellhole at the time. And it's, as far as I know, it's still a hellhole. It's gotten a little better. I do have a friend that lives in Ann Arbor, I believe, and he says Detroit's gotten a little better, but it's still not good. I don't think they're aliens. I think they're probably demons or something. I mean, maybe time travelers. There's the different types of aliens. I always thought the grays are probably time travelers. It kind of looks like what will become once we all have no borders and become a single race, right?
Serious violence, but this is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America.
Okay, but why do we have bases overseas though? Because we have like 100 and I think it's 187 known bases overseas. And I'm sure there's a ton of black sites that we don't know about. Uh, if we didn't have that, that would certainly reduce our spending quite a bit. And we shouldn't have them. We're not the world's police. And so what if Iran has missiles? Like, who are we to tell other countries that they can't defend themselves unless the plan is, which it is, we all know it is that we're going to take them out, which is what we're going to do soon, any day now.
After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, in particular nuclear weapons. Yet they continue, starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again.
I've been told on good authority that Iran is only weeks from having a nuclear weapon. I heard the Lord and Savior Bibi Netanyahu say so it must be true. Sarcasm, obviously.
And at this moment, again, pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
They're not the world's #1 sponsor of terror. It's either the United States or Israel. It's one of them too, for sure. I mean, we do regime change all the time. Israel false flags everybody. I mean, that whole coordinated pager attack was insane. And we all know that they have, I mean, Massey said he saw some fully declassified files where they have the the Goy beam. I don't remember what it stood for, but it was an anagram for something.
And no nation should ever doubt America's resolve. We have the most powerful military on earth. I rebuilt the military in my first term. We're going to continue to do so. Also, we just approved $1 trillion budget. We have no choice. We have to.
I mean, teabag and therapist, if if they have discovered these texts that are 3,000 years old that say that Iran is 2 weeks from a nuclear weapon, then would that mean that the Iranians were promised that 3,000 years ago? Seems like it. Either that or fucking Allah is just a cock tease.
Be strong, because hopefully we will seldom have to use this great power that we built together. It's really called peace through.
Spuds, it's hard to know, honestly, whether China is teetering on demise or not. They keep saying that, but that could just be American propaganda. The problem is anything that comes out of China, we don't know if it's true or not because they put out propaganda. It's not real. We can't know really what's in there. what's going on in there. Like we won't know their inner workings. I know they did build up a bunch of backup cities to make jobs for people, so they have a bunch of empty cities that are ready to go. But that's also kind of a strategy, like if they're at war with someone and their city gets destroyed, well, they have all these backup cities. I think More Complete is right. I think China is stronger than advertised, but who knows by how much? That's the problem. Who knows if their military is any good? Even we don't know any of that because all we get is what they put out. They don't. They're not honest. We aren't honest about what we put out. Whatever they did in Venezuela, they had some kind of targeted Havana syndrome weapon that basically made the Venezuelan soldiers freeze in place. So we aren't sharing what our capabilities are either. No country would.
That has been very, very effective.
And yeah, China's great at the waiting game because they have dictators and they don't have this 4 year we got to hurry up and make a plan because the next 4 years the government could be entirely different, or well, actually the next 2 years because of midterms. So they don't have that issue. We do. So they're great at the long game.
So thanks to Republicans in Congress, we're investing that record number of dollars, have no choice, in the United States Armed Forces. We're also creating a lot of jobs, but we're not even doing it for that reason. Because as I said, we have more jobs, more people working today than ever before in the history of our country. And NATO countries, our friends and allies, they are. They're our friends and they're our allies, have just agreed, at my very strong request, to pay 5% of GDP for military defense rather than the 2%, which they weren't paying. We were paying for almost all of them. Now they're paying 5 as opposed to not paying 2. And getting that 5% was something which everyone said would never be done, could not happen. We got it really easily with one meeting. And big difference between 2% that's not paid. We were paying the freight of many of them. Very few were paid up. Now 5% then they're paid. And everything we send over to Ukraine is sent through NATO, and they pay us in full. They pay us totally in full. Every branch of our armed forces is setting records for recruitment. This is so exciting. And every service member recently... And every service member recently received a warrior dividend of $1,776. They put it on my desk. We got the money from tariffs and other things, a lot of money. We have much more money than people understand. Have to rebuild that program a little bit, but it won't take long. But we got the money, and it was $1,775, and they wanted my approval. And I said, what's the number? $1,775. I said, wait a minute, for $1 more, we can have $1,776. I said, we're going to figure that. I never asked anybody if we could afford it. $1 more, I said $1,776. And I said, that's good. And I'll tell you what, our military, that was 4 months ago, our military, I never see a person in the military that doesn't thank me for it, so we're honored to do it. They deserve it. And we call it 1776. It was great. And we love our military. We love our law enforcement. We love our firemen. The firemen don't get mentioned enough. We love our firemen. We're also...
Spuds, what are you talking about? The slaves built America. Haven't you been properly propagandized?
We're also restoring American security and dominance in the Western Hemisphere, acting to secure our national interests and defend our country from violence, drugs, terrorism, and foreign interference. For years, large swaths of territory in our region, including large parts of Mexico, really large parts of Mexico, have been controlled by murderous drug cartels. That's why I designated these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and I declared illicit fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction.
I am totally fine with him getting rid of, stopping the fentanyl from coming in from outside of the country. The problem is, I think he's using this as a pretext for a lot of stuff, like with Venezuela, these drug boats. I don't buy any of that. As someone who's grown up in Miami, we all know that none of the drugs came from Venezuela, or not in any kind of quantity. I'll say that.
And with our new military campaign, we have stopped record amounts of drugs coming into our country and virtually stopped it completely coming in by water or sea. You probably noticed that. We very seriously damaged their fishing industry also. Nobody wants to go fishing anymore. We've also taken down one of the most sinister cartel kingpins of all. You saw that yesterday. In January, elite American warriors carried out one of the most complex, spectacular feats of military competence and power in world history. No one's seen anything like it. Foreign leaders, I won't tell you who called me, and they said, very impressive, very good. They couldn't believe, they all watched, they saw what happened. This is a different fighting force than we had years ago when we fought to die. You know, it's a great fighting force. I'm so proud of it. Look at Space Force. Space Force is my baby, because we did that. It's my baby. It's becoming so important.
Teabag and Therapist is is the slave song YouTube friendly? I mean, it's on YouTube, but there's a lot of stuff that's on YouTube that probably isn't YouTube friendly.
And America's armed forces overwhelmed all defenses and utterly defeated an enemy, good fighters, to end the reign of outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro and bring him to face American justice. And this was an absolutely colossal victory for the security of the United States, and it also opens up a bright new beginning for the people of Venezuela. We're working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, to unleash extraordinary economic gains for both of our countries and to bring new hope to those who have suffered so terribly. They really did suffer. With us tonight is Alejandro Gonzalez. He grew up in a tight-knit Venezuelan family and was especially close to her beloved uncle Enrique. But after Enrique ran for office and opposed Maduro, he was kidnapped by Maduro's security forces and thrown into the regime's really infamous prison in Caracas. Alejandro feared she would never see her uncle again. She feared for her own life also. But since the raid, we have worked with the new leadership, and they have ordered the closure of that vile prison and released hundreds of political prisoners already, with more to come. Alejandro, I'm pleased to inform you that not only has your uncle been released, but he is here tonight. We brought him over to celebrate his freedom with you in person. Enrique, please come down.
All right, guys, let's check out this slave song. Hold on. Full screen it.
Built the pyramids. Slaves built the Parthenon. Slaves built America. Slaves, this is your song. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Slaves, this is your song. Thank you. Slaves, 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 slaves.
That was pretty funny. Let's get back to this disaster.
Thank you, Enrique. Have a good time. Nice to have you back, Enrique. There were many heroes on that January raid to capture Maduro. Really great heroes. It was very dangerous. They knew we were coming. They were all set. But the deeds of one warrior that night will live forever in the eternal chronicles of military valor. Chief Warrant Officer 5, Eric Slover, planned the mission and was the flight lead in the cockpit of the first helicopter. A big, beautiful, powerful helicopter. It was a massive Chinook, carrying, as you can imagine, many, many American warfighters. Wearing the dog tags, his wife Amy had blessed with holy water before he left. She knew it was going to be a rough one. Eric steered the Chinook under the cover of night. And
that is true, Teabag in Therapy. There isn't an old man groping children on camera. However, there is an old man who covered up for people who did way more than groping on the camera, unfortunately. I fucking hate this guy.
Descended swiftly upon Maduro's heavily protected military fortress. This was a major...
The crazy thing is, I was like the biggest fucking Trump supporter in 2015. I fucking wore the hat in California because I lived out there at the time, at a time where it was not safe to wear that hat. I was a big, big Trump supporter. And he just fucking... The downhill started when he bombed Syria. Then the next one was he took the bump stocks, which I get it. Bump stocks are like a cartoonish fucking thing that no one gives a fuck about. But it's still an infringement on the Second Amendment, so I give a fuck about it. And then the whole COVID reaction of we need to stop the spread for 2 weeks to slow the spread or whatever. And yeah, and then they stole the election from him. Fine. The January 6th stuff, I don't blame him for any of that. That's not, he had nothing to do with that. But then fucking this whole, his first 100 days back were great. He was doing a lot of good things. And then it's just like he spiraled and went full opposite. It became opposite election, opposite presidency. Remember opposite day back in elementary school? Yeah, that.
Military installation, protected by thousands of soldiers and guarded by Russian and Chinese military technology. How did that work out? Not too good. While preparing to land, enemy machine guns fired from every angle, and Eric was hit very badly in the leg and hip, one bullet after another. He absorbed 4 agonizing shots, shredding his leg into numerous pieces. And yet, despite the fact that the use of his legs was vital to successful helicopter.
Damn, they have please help notes in the clothing out of China from the slaves. That's fucking insane. I did not know that. I haven't seen anything like that. And I pretty much buy clothes at Walmart because fuck it. It's cheap. And I'm sure that's all Chinese slave labor.
Like I said, the most important part of flying a helicopter, to deliver the many commandos who would capture and detain Maduro, was the only thing Eric was thinking about. Then, even as he was gushing blood, which was flowing back down the aisle, helicopter lands at a steep angle. The machine gun stood right in front of him. They were right in front of him, 2 machine gunners who escaped the wrath of the previous planes. Eric maneuvered his helicopter with all of those lives and souls to face the enemy and let his gunners eliminate the threat. Turn the helicopter around so the gunners could take care of business, saving the lives of his fellow warriors from what could have been a catastrophic crash deep in enemy territory. Only after safely landing the helicopter with all the warriors aboard in the exact right spot, which was vital to the mission, probably would have had to maybe cancel the mission if that didn't happen, Eric told his co-pilot, also wounded, but not as gravely, to take over. I'm about ready to pass out. The success of the entire mission and the lives of his fellow warriors hinge on Eric's ability to take the searing pain. It was unbelievable what's happened to his.
It's like a pen pal that you don't have to write back to, which makes it great. You just get random letters, but you don't have to take the the effort to write back.
Of the bullets and keep on flying and landing, and people knew what was happening. Everybody in the back of the helicopter knew because they saw the blood pouring down the aisle. Chief Warrant Officer Slover is still recovering from his serious wounds, but I'm thrilled to say that he is here tonight with his wife, Amy. Eric and Amy, come on in.
Speaking of Nike shoes, I saw some interview with a guy who was like a guy who sold bootleg Nikes. And basically, what the guy did was he flew out to China and offered them money at the Nike factory to produce the same shoes just for him on the side when they're not normally working. And yeah, that's a lot of the fake Nikes apparently are not actually, they're fake Nikes only because they're not officially Nike, but they, for all intents and purposes, are, which is kind of crazy.
So we have a surprise, Eric and Amy. In recognition of Eric's actions above and beyond the call of duty, I would now like to ask General Jonathan Braga to present Chief Warrant Officer Slover with our nation's highest military award, the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the old ones before that everyone knew you could just go to China and talk to the factories where like Jordan was like different, like the the logo wasn't quite the same. But yeah, now it's like they're just legit bootlegs that are legit.
Well, thank you very much, Eric and Amy. Great to get to know you. I met with them and with a lot of their fellow warriors at Fort Bragg recently. You notice the name Fort Bragg. We have it back. We brought it back. We won the First World War with it, the Second World War with it, and then they decided to change the name. So we changed it back. Everybody wanted to change back, too. And 10 of Eric's fellow warriors from that incredible night of victory will also be receiving medals at a private ceremony that will soon be held at the White House. And Eric will do that.
You know, teabagging therapist, agree with you. I took a job at a Michael's once, right, as a shift manager, and the policy of the store that, now, mind you, this is in Florida, where allegedly people don't put up with shit. But the store policy was, if I saw a guy sticking a bunch of shit in his pants, I was not allowed to question him or stop him or do anything. As the fucking manager of the store, on duty, I was not allowed to do anything because Michaels didn't want to get accused of being racist. That's an odd thing to say. Are you trying to insinuate that only certain races steal? I mean, that store kind of was, but, you know.
Thank you, Eric. That's a big one. Tonight we've celebrated many truly extraordinary American patriots, but there is one last living legend to honor before we go. He is one more heroic American aviator. Navy fighter pilot Royce Williams served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, flying more than 220 missions. In disguise over Korea in 1952, Royce was in the dogfight of a lifetime, legendary dogfight. Flying through blizzard conditions, his squadron was ambushed by 7 Soviet fighter planes. It was his first aerial combat of the war, and despite being massively outnumbered and outgunned, Royce led the takedown of 4 enemy jets and almost destroyed the others, vanquishing his adversaries while taking 263 bullets to his own plane and being seriously hurt. His story was secret for over 50 years. He didn't even want to tell his wife, but the legend grew and grew. But tonight, at 100 years old, this brave Navy captain is finally getting the recognition he deserves. He was a legend long before this evening. Royce, please stand up, and I will ask the First Lady of the United States to present Captain Royce Williams with his Congressional Medal of Honor. Thank you, Royce, and thank you, Eric. I've always wanted the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not allowed to give it to myself, and I wouldn't know why I'd be taking it, but if they ever open up that law, I will be there with you someday. But you know, that's our highest honor, Congressional Medal of Honor, and that's a big thing, and it's an honor to be in the same room with you. Thank you both very much, Eric. Thank you. Thank you. 250 years is a long time in the life of a nation, but in another sense, it's really a mere moment in the eye of history. 2 of the gentlemen we met in the gallery this evening took their first breaths 1 century ago, 100 years before that, on July 4th, 1826, the author of the Declaration of Independence, brilliant, Thomas Jefferson, drew his last breath. Just a single long human lifespan separates the giants who declared and won our independence from the heroes who stand among us tonight. Everything our nation has done, everything we have achieved, has been the work of those few great lifetimes. In those brief chapters, Americans built this nation from 13 humble colonies into the pinnacle of human civilization and human freedom, the strongest, wealthiest, most powerful, most successful nation in all of history. Americans ventured out across the daunting and dangerous continent. We carved paths through an unforgiving wilderness, settled a boundless frontier, and tamed the beautiful but very, very dangerous Wild West. From empty marshes and wide open plains, we raised up the world's greatest cities. Together we mastered the world's mightiest industries and shattered history's monstrous tyrannies, and we liberated millions from the chains of fascism, communism, oppression, and terror. Americans lifted humanity into the skies on the wings of aluminum and steel, and then we launched mankind into the stars on rockets powered by sheer American will and unyielding American pride. We wired the globe with our ingenuity. We captivated the planet with American culture, and now we are pioneering the next great American breakthroughs that will change the entire world. All of this and so much more is the enduring legacy, unmatched glory of the hardworking patriots who built and defended this country and who still carry the hopes and freedoms on all of humanity's backs. For years they were forgotten, betrayed, and cast aside, but that great betrayal is over and they will never be forgotten again, because when the world needs courage, daring, vision, and inspiration, it is still turning to America. And when God needs a nation to work his miracles, he knows exactly who to ask. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome, no frontier too vast for us to conquer, no dream too bold for us to chase, no horizon too distant for us to claim. For our destiny is written by the hand of Providence, and these first 250 years were just the beginning. From the rugged border towns of Texas to the heartland villages of Michigan, from the sun-kissed shores of Florida to the endless fields of the Dakotas, and from the historic streets of Philadelphia to right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
So basically, it was just a bunch of optics wins, like little stupid things like giving awards to veterans and whatnot. A bunch of fucking trash. No real things other than like, okay, gas went down. Woo. I mean, that's great, but it hasn't brought down the price of food. It hasn't brought down the price of rent. Like nothing about that stuff, which is all, you know, equally at the minimum, but probably way more important than gas. I think we would all suffer a little bit of higher gas prices if our rents would come down and whatnot. But yeah, just a bunch of optics wins and not much else. Mm, yeah, that was pretty garbage. No, I didn't watch the uh, People's State of the Union, but I might skim over it and see if it's worth looking at. Maybe I'll stream that. But I actually want to do the next stream I want to do. I want to talk about like the whole Mexico situation, the whole Iran situation, and how it's all just a big, and the alien situation, and how it's all just a big distract you from the Epstein stuff situation. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do next time. Let me see if there's anyone to raid. And I'm pretty much done. Let's see who's live. Is there anyone worth rating? I don't even know if there's anyone that I know that'll be on. Is there anyone that you guys want to raid? If you guys have any one that you like watching, I'm definitely more than willing to raid out into them. Let me post my links here. If you guys are on X, please follow me on X. You guys should follow me here. If you guys want to follow me on YouTube, that would be cool too. Where's my damn YouTube link? I found it. This is my YouTube link. And all right, guys, it's been a blast. You guys can find me here. I'm going to be doing at least one stream a week, but I'm trying to shoot for two. And you guys can see me every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Ray Ray is Happy's channel on YouTube, where we do Bruvs Unite and we talk a lot of masculinity and streamer drama and some news and politics too, but it's pretty random and it's a lot of fun, especially with James. James is a fucking wild character. He's straight out of a movie. Think the transporter, but ghetto. If the transporter was from the hood, that would be the one. Oh, you know what? Virgie's streaming. How do I stream? How do I raid out? I think it's slash raid. Let's do that. All right, guys. Virgie's pretty cool. Definitely check him out, do all the flashy stuff and all that good stuff. And come back when you see me live. I don't have a set schedule, but I'll be definitely streaming more regularly, at least once a week, guys. It was great. Have a blast. Catch you later.